Long ago, in a weather-worn cottage perched at the edge of a sweeping green valley, there lived a poor widow and her only child. A bright-hearted boy named Jack. Their little home leaned under the weight of many years, its straw-thatched roof sagging like tired shoulders, and its wooden walls creaking softly in the night winds. Though the cottage was humble, it was filled with love, and with their single precious possession, a gentle cow called Buttercup. Buttercup was more than an animal, she was their lifeline. Her warm milk had nourished Jack since infancy and kept hunger at bay through many harsh winters. But as time passed and seasons changed, her milk grew thin and scarce. Jack's mother churned what little butter she could, stitched garments for neighbors in exchange for bread, and whispered hopeful prayers into the firelight each night. Still, fortune did not smile upon them. One cold morning, when the cupboard stood bare and the hearth held only dying embers, Jack's mother let out a weary sigh.
Jack, we have nothing left to eat, and no money to buy more.
You must take Milky White to the market and sell her. And whatever you earn must keep us alive.
Jack's heart ached at the thought of parting with the cow he loved, but he nodded bravely.
Do not worry, Mother. I will return with enough to help us.
He kissed her cheek, looped the rope gently around Buttercup's neck, and set off down the winding lane toward the village market. By midday, the sun shone brightly as Jack reached a bend in the road shaded by towering oak trees. There, leaning upon a knotted walking stick, stood a curious little man with sharp eyes that sparkled like mischief and wisdom combined. He wore a deep green cloak that shimmered strangely in the light.
Morning, young man, Tar. Where are you going with that fine cow?
Jack sighed and told him the whole story about how poor they were and how he had to sell Buttercup. The old man listened carefully, nodding his head.
So, you seek gold for her?
Yes, sir. Enough to buy food for my mother and me.
Then he reached into one of his many pockets and pulled out 5 beans. But these weren't ordinary beans. They were the most beautiful beans Jack had ever seen.
I'll trade you these magic beans for your cow. Plant them tonight, and by morning you'll see something absolutely amazing. These beans are very, very special.
Magic beans for a whole cow. It didn't sound like a fair trade at all.
But Jack was young, and the beans looked so pretty and magical, and the old man seemed so kind and wise, so Jack said yes. He handed Buttercup's rope to the old man and put the 5 magic beans carefully in his pocket. Jack ran home as fast as his legs could carry him, excited to show his mother the magic beans. He burst through the door.
Mother! Mother! Look what I got! Look, Mother! Magic beans! They'll grow overnight into something wonderful!
His mother looked up from her sewing, hoping to see a bag of gold coins. But when Jack opened his hand and showed her the 5 beans, her face turned red with anger.
Jack! What have you done? You traded our only cow for 5 silly beans. How could you be so foolish?
Now we have nothing. No cow, no money, no food. You've traded our last hope for nonsense.
She was so upset that she grabbed the beans and threw them right out the window into the garden. Then she sent Jack to bed without any supper, which was okay because they didn't have any supper anyway. Poor Jack climbed up to his tiny room in the attic, feeling terrible. He had disappointed his mother, and now they had nothing at all. He lay in his bed, looking at the stars through his little window, wishing he could take back what he had done. That night, Jack lay awake, heavy with shame, the sound of her sobs echoing through the small cottage. At dawn, golden light spilled through Jack's window, but something else shimmered there too. A strange green glow danced across the glass. Jack leapt from his bed and gasped. Where the beans had fallen, now rose an enormous beanstalk, thick as a tree trunk and spiraling upward beyond the clouds. Its leaves gleamed like emerald glass, and its vines vanished into the misty heavens.
Mother! Mother, come quick! The beans were truly magic!
Don't go climbing such nonsense, Jack. You'll break your neck.
Yet, Jack's curiosity burned brighter than fear. He gripped the first vine, placed his foot upon a leaf the size of a platter, and began to climb. Higher and higher he went, up through drifting mists and cool breezes that smelled of rain and sky. Birds circled beneath him, their wings mere dots below. The world shrank.
This is amazing!
Fields and cottages turned to a patchwork of color far below his dangling feet. At last, Jack reached the top and stepped into a land unlike any he had ever seen. A realm where clouds formed rolling meadows and the air hummed with unseen music. In the distance stood a magnificent castle, its towers piercing the sky. Near the gate stood a giantess with kind eyes and arms strong enough to lift a tree. Jack politely asked for food.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm hungry and far from home. Could you spare a bite to eat? Poor boy. I'd give you breakfast gladly, but my husband would eat you for his own. Please, ma'am. I'll be quick and gone before he knows.
Pity stirred in her heart. She lifted him gently into the kitchen and gave him a piece of bread as large as his head and a mug of milk big enough to bathe in. But before he could finish, there came a heavy thud, thud, thud.
Quick, hide, and stay very still,
whispered the giant's wife, and she pushed Jack into the oven.
Don't worry, the oven was cold and not being used.
I smell the blood of an Englishman. I'll grind his bones to make my bread.
Jack peeked through a crack and saw the biggest, scariest giant stomp into the kitchen. The giant had a long beard, big bushy eyebrows, and a voice like thunder.
Don't be silly. Cooked for your breakfast. Sit down and eat.
Jack's heart was pounding so hard he thought the giant might hear it. But the giant's wife said sweetly. The giant grumbled, but sat down at the enormous table. On the table, he placed a sack of gold coins, which clinked like raindrops of metal. He counted them slowly, his head nodding, until he fell asleep. When the snores grew deep and thunderous, Jack crept out. Took one small sack of gold and ran as fast as he could. Down the beanstalk he slid, leaves whipping his face, until he landed safely beside his cottage.
Mother! 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 Look what I've brought!
Jack, where did this come from?
From the castle in the clouds.
Jack told her everything, the giantess, the castle, the treasure. Though frightened by his tale, she could not deny their sudden fortune. For a time, they lived well, buying food and repairing their cottage. But the gold did not last forever. When the last coin was spent, Jack looked once more at the towering beanstalk swaying in the sunlight.
Please, Jack, don't go. It's too dangerous.
I will climb again. Perhaps there's more to be found.
He climbed the beanstalk again, up through cloud and wind, until he reached the land above once more. At the castle gate, the giantess frowned when she saw him.
You again. If my husband finds you, he will surely eat you alive.
But Jack's charm and politeness softened her heart once more. Reluctantly, she hid him in a copper pot. Soon, the heavy footsteps came again.
I smell the blood of an Englishman. I'll grind his bones to make my bread.
You are dreaming indeed. Sit and eat your breakfast.
After the giant ate his breakfast, he called out,
Wife, bring me my magic hen.
The giant's wife brought in a beautiful golden hen and placed it on the table. The giant patted the hen and said,
Lay!
And the most amazing thing happened. The hen laid a golden egg, a real egg made of solid gold. Jack couldn't believe his eyes. The giant kept commanding the hen to lay eggs, and soon there was a pile of golden eggs on the table. Then the giant yawned a yawn so big it sounded like a windstorm. He put his head down on the table and started to snore. His snores were so loud they shook the pots and pans. This was Jack's chance. He quietly crept out, tiptoed across the floor, and climbed up the table leg. The golden hen saw Jack and clucked softly, but she didn't seem to mind when Jack gently picked her up. Jack tucked the hen under his arm and ran as fast as he could toward the door. But just as Jack reached the door, one of the golden eggs rolled off the table and hit the floor with a loud clang. The giant woke up with a snort. "What's that?" he roared. He looked at the table. The giant jumped up and chased after Jack. Jack ran faster than the giant's huge footsteps behind him. Boom, boom, boom. Jack reached the beanstalk and started climbing down as fast as he could go. The golden hen was clucking nervously under his arm. Down, down, down he climbed. The giant reached the top of the beanstalk and started climbing down after Jack. The whole beanstalk shook and swayed with the giant's weight. Jack looked down and saw his little cottage far below.
Mother! Mother! Bring me the axe, quick!
His mother ran out with the axe
and Jack started chopping at the beanstalk with all his might. He looked up and saw the giant getting closer and closer. The beanstalk began to crack and creak. The giant was still climbing down, roaring with anger, but Jack kept chopping, and finally, with a huge crack, the beanstalk began to fall. It fell sideways with a tremendous crash, and the giant fell with it. He tumbled back up into the clouds where he came from, and he never bothered Jack again.
Jack!
Jack and his mother looked at the golden hen, who immediately laid a beautiful golden egg right there in the garden. Jack's mother hugged him tight, even though she was still a bit cross about him trading their cow for beans. But now they had a magic hen who could lay golden eggs whenever they needed money. From that day on, Jack and his mother were never poor again. Every day the hen laid golden eggs, and they sold the eggs in the village. They bought back a cow even better than Buttercup. They filled their cupboards with food, they fixed up their cottage, and they had plenty of money to share with other poor families in the village. Jack learned an important lesson from his adventure. Sometimes taking a chance on something magical can lead to wonderful things, but you also have to be brave and clever to make the most of your luck. He also learned that giants are real, so he never climbed any more suspicious beanstalks just to be safe. The golden hen became part of the family. Jack's mama knitted her a little cozy nest, and Jack fed her the best corn and seeds. The hen was very happy in her new home, much happier than she had been with the grumpy giant.